visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey Fonville Foster, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
All right, I think we're good. Okay, I was looking to make sure we weren't having any glitches because the system been playing with me lately. But welcome to another Monday Night Live. I am your host, Corey Fonville Foster, and I am a speaker, trainer, certified business coach specializing in implementation. That means helping you get everything done in your business. I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions, which is a small business marketing firm based out of Virginia, servicing amazing entrepreneurs from coast to coast and up into Canada. And every single Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are here live from wherever you're watching, dropping gems about how you can do business better. I'm super excited that we could be here today. Definitely, if you're watching this live, you're watching the replay, make sure to engage in the comments because we want to know what you think. We want to know if you have questions. We want to know if you have additional resources and thoughts. So feel free to engage with us as we go through today's training. Today, we're going to keep it real short, y'all. We got a lot going on. Also, shout out to you all who came. And look, some of you may be like, I didn't even know this was going on, but we have launched kind of a new little I don't want to call it a series, but a new little workshop, right? I don't even want to say little. It's an awesome workshop. It's a revenue focused webinar, talking to you about really thinking about how you plan for 2026. And we kind of soft launched it last week. So shout out to you guys who registered and who attended live. It is a live webinar. We're going to be hosting it every Wednesday from now until about mid-December, to allow you guys to start really strategically thinking about how you plan your year. And I don't even know if Lakeisha's watching it. If you drop the link in the chat for them, that would be great. I don't even know if she's up here. I can't tell because I didn't have the link. Bad on me. I didn't put the link here in my notes, but I can go back. If you are interested in joining us on tomorrow's webinar, feel free to register. We will put the link in the comments of this video, even if I don't do it live, so that you guys can register to come. It's completely free. And like I said, we're hosting it every Wednesday. And matter of fact, if you were on last Wednesday, that's the reason why we kind of soft beta tested, launched it kind of situation. We wanted to get some feedback and see how we can improve it. So if you want to come on back this Wednesday, it'll be even better. But we're going to be talking about, again, finding that locked revenue within your business and strategically planning for it for next year. And I think it makes sense that we start talking about money, right? Because a lot of times we run our business, especially early on, with emotions, right? We're passionate, we have our why, we have our audience, we want to help people, we want to make impact, but oftentimes we don't think about the money, right? We don't think about how do we keep this thing going, because like with anything, you got to feed the beast, right? It'd be nice. I always tell people, like, if I married rich, I could just give away these services for free, right? But truth be told, being really honest, one, I'm not rich, so I have to charge for these services. But also, a lot of times when you give things away for free, people don't take it seriously. There's an old saying: if you don't pay, you don't pay attention, right? And that's true. Think about how many times you may have signed up for a webinar or a conference or a workshop or a PDF, anything, and you just didn't use it. You didn't look at it. You didn't follow through with it. You didn't show up, right? That happens a lot. In the business world, we know if we host something that's free, best believe we can be super excited about like how many people sign up. but maybe 1/3 of those people are actually going to come, right? Like we'll get a nice number for registration and a few folks will come. And that's because when it's free, people don't have anything to lose. And so oftentimes when they have some skin in the game, they actually show up and they actually implement. And so well, I would love to just give everything away for free. It actually doesn't do you any service, because like I said, you probably wouldn't take it as seriously even if I did. But that's why we're going to be talking about money today, because you are a consumer of goods, right? Like some of you are past clients, some of you are current clients, some of you are potentially going to be clients. And so yes, you're on that side of the line, but you're also a business owner, and so you too need to be thinking about where your money is coming in from, where it's going, and things like that. So tonight we're going to be talking about tracking your business health kind of beyond revenue. Yes, revenue is always great to get, but oftentimes, especially with new entrepreneurs, that's where they stop. They have revenue goals and that's it. And it's like, we're missing out on strategic planning that makes sense because we're just thinking about the revenue. And revenue is great. Don't get me wrong. I love my CRM has this thing where when I get a payment, it sends me a little message that says ching ching, literally. And it tells me, who paid and what they paid. And it's just a nice little thing, especially when I wake up to it. It's like, oh, cha-chings. But it doesn't mean that I get to keep that money in my pocket. Back in the day when I was a solo entrepreneur with very little to no overhead, when I was basically just a virtual assistant, it was nice. It was like, oh, I got a couple $100 here, got a couple $100 there. Yay. All that money kind of went back to my pocket because I didn't have to pay for a lot of systems in the beginning. I didn't have a website. I wasn't posting on social media. It was just me, right? For the first 6 months, there was nobody to pay. I didn't invest in any software in the first 6 months. So that was nice, right? But I also was growing at a snail's pace. Realistically, my prices were way too low and I was growing at a snail's pace because I didn't have systems. So, of course, as your business grows, you start investing in more systems, you start investing in team, and oftentimes your prices are not growing as fast as you are building out your business. And so those revenue goals, while they look nice, that money no longer comes into your pocket. There have been months where freelancers made more than I did that I paid myself because they had to get paid for their projects, but again, my profit margins weren't super great, and so I wasn't bringing that home. And so again, we're going to talk about, as a business owner, what types of things should you be tracking beyond just the revenue goals. Now, last week we kind of talked about pricing and money and things of that nature as well. And I want you to be kind of clear that yes, there should be revenue goals, but they should be smart revenue goals. So we gonna back up before we go forward, just in case you missed it. We want to be smart about the revenue goals we do have, right? Because that could already be a recipe for disaster. I have so many people who I come into contact with, and I'm asking them, especially on like strategy calls. I'm like, how much you can now? And then like, where do you want to be in the next 3, 6, 12 months, etc. And I'd be hearing some wild numbers, right? Like literally people will sign up for the call and they'll put their revenue amount in, like their monthly revenue. And it'll be like, some people put $0, $0, 0 cents, like 0, 0. And then I'll get on the call and I'll be like, oh, we work together. What is your goal if we work together for 90 days? What would you be expecting? Because I need to know where their thought process is, right? Because everybody's ideas of success is very different. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I think I could do like 30,000 in the next 90 days. I'm like, interesting. So you've been hustling and working and doing your thing by yourself or with other people, maybe didn't work out, but you made no money in the last 3 months. But somehow you feel you're going to jump to $30,000 in 90 days. Now, could it happen? Sure. Will it happen? Probably not. And so it's my job as a coach to kind of adjust our expectations. And I tell people about how we can incrementally kind of grow, because in their mind they're thinking they want to make 10K a month, right? That's what the math breaks down to, and that's always people's goals, it seems. And it's not that it isn't doable. It's just there's probably a reason why you're not making money right now, right? And there are only so many kind of get rich quick things you can do to get that. You know what I mean? Like if you could just magically get 30,000, you would have did it already. And so, we have to kind of adjust expectations and say, okay, if you make money this month, let's put a few pieces of the puzzle together so that next month we can make some revenue. And then let's take it from there and say, okay, we made, let's say 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 bucks that month. Let's double it the next month. Then let's keep going. And so we grow every month, but it's incrementally versus out of nowhere we're doing $10,000. You may not even have a product. You may not have a funnel to get leads. You may have no contact list. Like, there are things that have to be in place. And so like I said, we spent some time talking about revenue last week and the week before, and pricing and things of that nature. But I want us to be honest with ourselves, because that is the best starting point to say, okay, where are we realistically right now? How much are we bringing in? Like, yes, we wish that it was a different number, but how much are we really bringing in right now? Because that is the starting point for everything else. Because we do need to know what our revenue goals are. We also need to know what our revenue number is, but we're not going to stop there. Okay, so let's talk about some of kind of the different types of metrics that we should be looking at. And I'm gonna try to keep it kind of simple. When I talk about money, y'all notice that these talks will get short because I like to give you just what you need and let you think on it. Because I know for me, when I used to think about money and my business, it was stressful, and I just couldn't do it in big segments. I remember one time I was at an event, and we got to sit with some people from Chase Bank, and they were giving us like a presentation about like business money management. And I'm telling you, I could have sworn them people was talking Cleon. Like, it was passing me by. I had my assistant with me, and I looked at her. She has a background in like finance and stuff, so she was like, "Okay, I get it." She had even asking questions. I couldn't even ask a question because I didn't know what they were talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad. And so I try not to overwhelm people when it comes to talks about particulars of finances in a general sense. Now, if I'm working with a client one-on-one, I have a better understanding of where they are mentally and where we need to start. But when it comes to general conversations, I like to keep it simple, because I do not want anyone to feel overwhelmed. I'm not a financial advisor. I do have connections with some really, really great financial advisors for business. And I would love to point you in that direction if you feel that is a need. Like, if you're just so bewildered about your finances, I would love to point you in the right direction to get some support. But tonight we're going to keep it pretty simple, because I want you to think about some key places to look at as you continue on the strategic planning time that you should be in with your business right now. Oh, and hold on, one quick thing before we dive into that. Stop waiting until December. I was talking with my intern today. We were going through some LinkedIn messages, and we had been, like I said, we kind of was soft launching that revenue webinar last Wednesday. And so I was like, hey, let's go through some of the messages and things like that. And somebody was like, oh, this seems great, but I don't do my planning until December. And I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you do that to yourself? And this person was not a new business owner. And I'm just like, don't do that to yourself, because what happens is, one, life happens, right? So life will be lifing, especially around the holidays. And then you're trying to cram in a year of planning and getting data and doing all the things into 1 month. Not to mention, for most business owners, I would say about mid-December or so, they just start kind of tuning out. Like, they're exhausted. They've been hustling and grinding all year. They're like, you know what? I'm over it, right? So now really you only got the first half of December that you're planning. And then what also ends up happening is people get sick around this time of year. Kids go on break. You got all your holidays. You got your Thanksgiving. You got your Christmas, your Kwanzaa, all the things. Like, it's a lot to cram into 1 month. I typically suggest people in business start planning around October, probably at the latest, for your strategic plan for the following year. And then, of course, you should be doing quarterly planning and checking in as well. So October is really when you should start. November is when we start tapping you guys on the shoulder, like, have you started? Do you need help? Let's get it done. December is like, we going to finish up. So for us, that's why we tell you these webinars where we're going to be talking about what should be included in your strategic plan. We're going to give you 1 hour once a week to talk about it in a safe space. And we're going to stop at mid-December because we know that really after that, you guys have kind of tuned out. On top of that, something that you guys will start seeing, because we were just waiting on some graphics to come in, is we're actually going to be doing 2-day intensives. We have two planned. We're only doing two. We're going to do one in November for the folks that's doing what they're supposed to do. And we're going to do one in December for the late birds, and it'll be mid-December. But it's a 2-day intensive where we actually will sit with you and do your strategic plan. We're going to teach you how to use AI to help you do the research and kind of quickly get to this. Back in the day, planning for me used to be like just the prep for planning would be like a week-long process. And then, of course, you are, tweaking, implementing, doing all the things. Now we can get most of that planning done in 2 days. So we really shaved off a ton of time for you guys. So in one weekend, you will have your strategic plan. Now, of course, the work doesn't stop there. But you will have enough to really understand what you're going to be offering, who you're going to be offering it to, how much things are going to cost, how you're going to get in front of your audience, how are you going to move them through your client journey, what tools you're going to use, what team you're going to have. There's lots of pieces to the puzzle. We're going to help you put that puzzle together. And then once you have the completed puzzle and that plan, you will be able to actually implement it. And so I'm letting you know now. So when you see the information come, you grab it, because the webinars, we can take as many people who want to come because we're just teaching an overview of what should be in your plan. So for some of you who are just like, I can do it on my own, come to the webinar so you know all the pieces, take some notes, watch the replay. You guys are going to be, good to go. For those of you who are like, I need some help, right? Or this is just overwhelming. I can't do it by myself. We have the intensives. They're virtual. They do have an investment to it. Because I'm going to be taking 2 days out of my life to help you plan. And a lot of project managers would charge you thousands upon thousands of dollars for it. And actually, I just talked with my team today. I'm going to say this, I want to be really transparent about this. My coaches gave me a price point for these intensives. And one thing I told myself this year was I was just going to do whatever I was told 100%, right? You invest in these programs and then you try to do it your own way. And then it's like, then you complain if you didn't get it right, right? And so I said, I'm going to be committed to doing whatever my coaches say. And I do suggest that 99.9% of the time. But something that happened to me recently was I have 2 dogs and I have a cat. And one of my dogs got really, really I guess sick or just really irritated. She has some skin issues or whatever. Now, my husband is a government employee, so you know how that goes. My business, is doing what it does, but spare money was just not there. And I called our vet, and I live in a very like military government employee area, right? So they know it's impacting this area. And I called them and I said, hey, I have one dog that's really suffering. I have a second dog that's starting to show signs of skin irritation. I said, what can we do? Like my husband's a government employee. Because if you have animals, they want their money up front, like at the time of the service. I was like, can we work something out? I was like, I would be happy to pay for one dog in full and maybe do like the other dog in 2 weeks, pay that off. I think I know what this is. We got medicine before. Like I was just trying to be like, how you got to do what you got to do. I was in there trying to finagle to get what I needed done for my dogs. And they were just like, no wiggle room, nobody to talk to, whatever. Luckily, I took one of my dogs in. They got taken care of. My other dog just used the shampoo. They did. It was fine. But, I realized like I'm going through this over some dogs, and I love my dogs, but dang, I said, I don't want you guys to really need this strategic planning support that can really move your business forward and you just literally not have the funds. So many people have been impacted in this season, whether it be SNAP, whether it be government employees, whether it just be life is kicking, but like life is just slapping folks right now. And so I said, you know what? We were originally going to price our intensive at $1,500. I don't mind saying it. But we decided, because I understand what's going on in the world and I don't want to be callous to it, we are dropping the price and it'll never be this low again, guys. But it's gonna be $597. a 2-day intensive. Ooh, hurt me to say it. Hope my coaches and my accountability partners are not watching. But $597. We are limiting it to 30 seats per intensive. We're only doing 2, so there's 60 seats in total. First come, first serve. You must pay in full. But it's only be $597. So we literally almost made it 2/3 off for you guys. Because again, I understand where we are in the world right now. And I don't want you to feel like you were missing out or you couldn't do something because of the way the world is. So be on the lookout for that. Jump on it fast. We're not going to add more dates. If you miss it and you need the strategic planning, you'll have to pay for one-on-one to do it, because I too will be checking out after the mid-December. I tend to stop on December 12th because it's my birthday, but I'm doing the intensive that weekend, which I think is like a 13th, 14th, just for you guys. But we have an intensive in November. We have one in December to help you guys plan, and part of that is going to be the money. So let's get back to it. Sorry, had to jump in there for a second just to tell you guys what was going on and why we were doing what we were doing. All right. And also, if you are interested in coming to the webinar, you can put webinar in the chat. If you're interested in getting one of those first seats to the intensive, you can put intensive in the chat, because then I know for sure to send you the links. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about, again, the metrics that you should be looking at as a business owner outside of revenue. So we know revenue means the amount of money coming in, the ka-chings, right? Somebody pays you for a product or service, that is revenue, right? And it don't matter from where, like you can have different revenue streams. Some of y'all got 1,000 businesses and things, but revenue is revenue, right? Oh, and I would encourage you to, if you do have multiple businesses, to keep your business finances separate, each one, not just from your personal, but separate. But of course, even, as business owners, you should be keeping your business finances separate from your personal. Like, we're not commingling funds in 2025. Okay. All right. So what outside of revenue should we be thinking about? Well, the next biggie is your profit margin, right? This is where a lot of people get got when they be having these revenue goals. And then they don't think about, like, hold on, what do I need to pay myself? what do I need at the end of the day, right? So your profit margin is your revenue minus your expenses, right? So you need to know your revenue. You need to know how much is in your expenses. That includes overhead. That includes once in a blue expenses and monthly reoccurring expenses. Like, you need to know all of those numbers. And I would encourage you to try to keep as many of your expenses to being monthly reoccurring and or annual, because it makes it so much easier to calculate where your money is going. Now, of course, things are going to pop up, traveling, different things you may want to just jump on once, maybe join an intensive, something like that. That's a once in a blue thing that, is going to be an added expense that maybe wasn't in your projections, but you want to have the bulk of your projections be reoccurring, whether it be monthly, annually, quarterly expenses, right? And really the goal as a business owner is to keep our expenses as low as possible. I literally, and I'm telling y'all all my business today, but I couldn't sleep this morning, and about 3:00 in the morning, I was up being like, okay, well, what can I do? I didn't want to get out of bed. So I just started researching, like, how we going to cut expenses for next year? Like, what other, like, where can we shave some fat off? And I ended up coming across a really amazing tool that might be something to save us some money. So yes, look at your expenses. I do encourage you guys to be really strategic, especially if you are in a place in your business where you're just starting to buy tools and software and things, and investing in things for your business. Start really thinking about what are the core things you need to outsource, whether it be in tools or people, and then see what all that thing can do, right? And I'll give you an example. There are like all-in-one platforms like a Kajabi or a Teachable. There's some other ones like that where they offer a lot of different stuff. Like, we've been on Kajabi for a few years, I think, at this point. Like, it does your website, it does landing pages, it does emails, it does e-courses, it does your podcast, it does so many things, right? And because of that, and because it also integrates with a lot of stuff, it's worth the investment. Some of you will buy all-in-one platforms and then also go buy an emailing platform and then also go buy a Wix website. And it's like, y'all do realize that one platform could all of those things. And so again, we want to be really strategic about our expenses. We want to make really smart choices. And I also don't want you to be afraid to switch. I have a lot of clients who come in, especially early on in their business, where they have very limited funds. And so I tell them, like, hey, these are the tools I recommend based on what you need. And be prepared that in a year when you start doing better, that you may have to move to something bigger and better, right? That you can't afford. And I was like, don't let that stop you from investing now in these, not as cool platforms. I said, because every business owner is going to change something, right? You're going to be moving. And as long as you know that it's coming, you can plan for it, you can save for it, you can find people to help you do the transition. And I'm not saying it's not going to be a little painful because we're in the process of moving some things around ourselves. However, it just makes sense for the business. So don't not start investing because you're like, oh, I wish I could get this, but I can't, so I'm not going to get anything. Like, no, get what you can afford that will help you. Optimize that, get bigger, and then do more and invest in a different tool later. So again, keep your expenses low. So we got our revenue minus our expenses. That's our profit margin. And I used to say that money goes to you. However, realistically, not always. Not always. Because you also have like your business savings, especially early on. You are, even if it is technically profit, a lot of times some of that profit gets reinvested back in the business. Things like that. It isn't necessarily for expenses today, but it may be things that you just want to have extra funds for moving forward. So that's a thing. But like I said, if you're, brand spanking new, then maybe that does go into your pocket. So yes, profit margin. So the next kind of metrics we want to look at, actually, before I jump off profit margins, when you are thinking about your profit margins, I actually feel like that is a better place to start than revenue or expenses. Because if you know how much you need to make, right, the bring home, then you can kind of work back, say, if I need to bring this home, then I probably need to keep my expenses about this. And then I probably need to also charge this amount to have this much revenue to cover the expenses and still give me the profit margin. Oftentimes when you start with revenue, it's a little trickier because you're starting with how much you want to bring in, but you're not thinking about how much you need to take home, right? And I hope that makes sense. So I like to kind of work backwards from that. And then, like I said, I like to really, if I can pay for something for a year, I'd rather do that. Typically, it's cheaper. And I like to know that, hey, only once a year this expense comes out, I can save for it versus monthly or just random charges here and there. All right. So the next metrics I want you guys to think about is your CAC, your customer acquisition cost. This is the amount of money it costs you to acquire a new client. This is important because when you start thinking about, ooh, I need to market. Ooh, I want to run ads. Ooh, I want to hire a VA or an assistant. You need to think about realistically, how much does it cost you to acquire a client? So if you're going to run an ad, how much in ad spend does it cost you to get someone to actually click and register for whatever it is or to buy whatever it is? Right? Because that determines, how much money you're going to be spending per client you need. And again, if you already looked at profit margin, right, you already said, I need to bring home this amount. So, and my expenses are this amount. This means I need to make this much in revenue to cover all of this stuff, right? And you price your product. It's like, okay, now how do I get in front of them? Do I need to pay for ads? Do I need to pay to speak at events? Do I need to pay someone to create social media marketing for me? Do I need to pay for a tool to help me onboard new clients? Do I need to pay somebody to help me produce a course, right? How much money does it cost to acquire a customer, right? And if this number becomes high, that may mean that, one, you may need to tweak something, or you may need to increase the price of your offers to offset the price it costs for you to acquire a actual client. This is an important number. A lot of people don't talk, and I don't know, even for me, probably the first 5 years, I never even looked at this number. I was like, well, I feel like it's going well. I feel like this makes sense. But then if you went back and looked and you was like, okay, well, I spent $1,500 on ads and I got 3 clients out of it. It's like that could disturb some of you. Just those little numbers. And I did little numbers for you on purpose because I have coaches who be like, I spent $50,000 in ads. And I'm like, oh my Lord, my heart for them. But no, you spend $1,500 on ads. You got 3 coaching clients. It may seem like a lot, but realistically, you spend about $500 on the client. They each signed up for a $10,000 package. You're good to go. But it is important for you to know. So then when you run more ads and you're like, well, I think I need 10 more clients, right? Because you want to make, what is that, 100,000? I can't do the math in my head. If each client is $10,000, they worth $10,000, and you want 10 of them, do that math, 10 times $10,000. I feel like it's 100,000, but I could be wrong. But either way, if that is your number, then you know you need to have money to spend about $500 per client to get them. And then now you have a plan. You're like, okay, this is how much my ad spend is, because I know that if I spend $500, I'll at least get 1 client. Right now you're thinking strategically, you're not working on just emotions. So that's an important number to know. And then another one that actually I cared more about, this next one before I cared about the customer acquisition costs. I think because this one hit me faster. But the next one is your LTV, your lifetime value, right, for a client. So this is how much a client is worth over the time they're with you and your company. And this one hit me faster because we had really good retention rates. I should say we have pretty good retention rates for our clients, meaning that oftentimes they stay with us for, I would say on average at least 6 months. Some of them stay with us for years. And so I started looking at this number because I said, oh, well, if they're staying, it doesn't necessarily mean I got to make a whole bunch of money with these people up front. Right. I started taking some of the pressure off me. I said, because they're worth a lot in the long term. So it's not a big, it's not a big issue. It's like, okay, I may not get on the front end, but I'll get it on the back end. And it helped kind of relieve some of my stress. But then I also started to look and say, well, how much is the average? And that's the year I said, oh, we got to change some stuff. Because yes, they were staying for a long time, but we started seeing that the average person, when we first looked at this, was only spending a couple of $1,000s with us over the lifetime of their time with us. So they would stay for a while, but they were kind of nickel and diming because we weren't really marketing our big stuff. So they were just kind of like little. And so I said, okay, one, we need to have a longer term contract, because back in the day, I wouldn't even let people sign up for a year's service. I was like, I don't even know if I would like them in a year. And so the longest people could sign up was 6 months, and they would have to renew. And so of course you're going to lose people every time you have to ask them again for money. So it was just that kind of like, all right, what are we going to do? And we realized, one, we need to increase what we expect as a lifetime value of a client. We knew we wanted to bump it up. And I think the first year we said, like $3,000 a year. And then we jumped it up and said, no, we want it to be something else. I can't remember what it was. And now I think it's closer to like 20,000 or something like that. That we want a client to spend with us while they're with us. But again, I haven't finished my strategic planning for next year, so I don't have my numbers for 2026, but I'm giving you what I remember. But yeah, so it's important to think about the lifetime value of a client, because some of you are so pressed about high ticket, but people don't know you and you haven't built up the know, like, and trust. So they're not necessarily willing to invest high ticket, but they are willing to buy your book. And then they are willing to go to your webinar. And then they are willing to go to your summit. And then they are willing to join your group coaching program. Like, they're willing to do it incrementally, and so don't get stressed about it. If you see that people are getting value and they're going through the client journey and they're continuing to purchase with you, you're still doing good, because the lifetime value that they're going to spend with you and your team is worth it, while you're starting to build that know, like, and trust to get more high ticket clients. So this can kind of alleviate a little bit of stress for some of you. Now, some of you are looking at your lifetime value and it's in the hundreds, then yeah, you got some work to do. But again, it's still a good number to look at and know. And it also helps you with pricing as you start to up what you sell. Because some of you are like, I don't know how much to charge for my high ticket. And it's like, well, how much is the average lifetime value of one of your clients? Because if it's lower than what you need to hit your profit margins, then you may need to raise your prices to get it higher, and then focus on selling that thing so that you can increase the lifetime value of your clients. And this one I kind of mentioned earlier. The next metrics is your MRR, which is your monthly reoccurring revenue. Actually, I think I said monthly recurring expenses earlier. So this is on the other side, your revenue. This is my favorite, I feel. I ain't gonna lie. like I like paid in full, but I do really enjoy reoccurring payments, right? It's nice to know that every month, like clockwork, somebody's going to be paying you. And in our CRM, it's really cool because once we do your contract, it actually will mark um, what we actually make is in green, what people owe, like if it's late payments, is in red, and then it's gray, but you can still see the bar when it's like, hey, you got contracts for this, but they just haven't paid yet. And I like in January seeing that in December, we still got money coming in because again, it relieves the stress. Like, ooh, at least we're not starting from zero. Because back in the day, and I just talked to my sister about this recently. I was like, back in the day, yo, we used to be like, I hope we get a couple $100 this month. I hope we get $1,000 this month. It was a big deal if we hit $1,000 a month. Like, cause back in the day, it was, let's say it was just me. I was charging chump change. Um, and then when my assistant came on, I was only about 6 months in, and she wasn't even an assistant. She was a proofreader, so she was only like popping in here and there for a couple hours a month, proofreading my stuff. So she wasn't making but a love offering at the time. So I was like, yay, if I made $1,000 each month. And so now it's really great to see that monthly reoccurring revenue. So again, yes, get your paid in full if you can. But again, it is very nice to put people on payment plans so that you can see and know that money is coming in. Because what I found for a lot of new entrepreneurs, that the money is in the account, they be spending it, and that really ain't your money. That ain't your money. That ain't your money. That's the business money. So don't go out and spend it because you got to use it to keep the business going. And that's also why I like reoccurring payments. Now, one little caveat to you putting people in payment plans. If you are being the financier, right? If you're the person making the payment plan and they're paying you and you are the only person between them and the money, their payment plan should not exceed the length of the contract. So if you've agreed to services in 6 months, they can get up to 6 months of payment plans. Now, if somebody want to pay twice a month because that's how they get paid, that's their business, but it should not exceed past the 6 month part because you've already given them all their services. There's nothing really holding them to paying you and paying you quickly and in full because you've already delivered everything. They've gotten all the value. Now, granted, I find that most people are honorable and they do the right thing, but I definitely have gotten got. Most of the people I know have gotten got before, especially early on in business when you don't think about this and people don't pay, right? It's just the nature of the beast. So to protect yourself, do not exceed payment plans past the contracted time. And I will say this too, there every blue moon somebody gets an attitude about this because they feel like, well, I'm a good person, I would never do that, you should work with me. And something that I tell folks is, I promise you we have protocols and procedures for a reason. I promise you I did not just wake up and want to be a butt about this. There's a reason. Somebody was given that opportunity, and it's probably somebody's. Usually it takes about two people for the most part for me to be like, not doing that again. And so believe me, I have been stiffed enough in business over the last 7-8 years that I'm not gonna do it, and the cool thing about being a coach or consultant is now there are third-party companies that will help you finance clients where you still get paid in full, and then they will credit them out further than your contract, which is really nice. Sometimes you have to be bringing in a certain amount of revenue or clientele every month. There's a lot of caveats, but a lot of them will do it. And some of the platforms that we use nowadays also have like Kartra, and not Kartra, but like those payment plan type things for folks. So there are options, but for you as the business owner, I don't want you to allow people, if it's on you, just you and them, for them to have payments past the services being rendered. But yes, know your MRR, your monthly reoccurring revenue. And then the last term I want to go over with you tonight is your cash flow. Hey man, this is important. This is important because there's nothing worse than you not having no money, right? And it's in a weird way because it's not like you don't have money, but you don't have no money. If that makes sense. Like you got people paying, but you're spending as fast as people are paying. And so there is not there's no cash floating around for you to do anything else with, right? So you need to make sure that what's going out is not the same or more than what is coming in, right? And this could be daily, this could be weekly, this could be monthly, this could be quarterly, this could be yearly. You really have to keep an eye on cash flow, because there are going to be things that happen just like in your personal life. When life be life in, your business is going to have that too. Somebody isn't going to be able to pay on time. That happens. I'm telling you, probably, I don't know, at least once a month, somebody's late on a payment, right? So you don't want to be depending on that payment to keep your business afloat. You need cash flow, to ensure that you can take care of your business if something happens. You want to be able to take care of your team, your freelancers. If you got payroll going out, you want to be able to take care of that. You want to be able to pay for your software. You want to be able to pay you, because people do stuff, right? Even this year, I had somebody run off with some money, from me, who was supposed to do me a service, right? So as a freelancer vendor, and that was money gone that I'm probably never going to get back, right? And I'm still a little salty about it. But that happens, right? And so you don't want that to be your last, and you have no cash flow, because you done spent this money, right? Again, all the money you get in your business is not, it's yours, but it ain't yours, right? Because it needs to be there to keep the business going. So some things to help you, right? Because I told you I don't like having to look at the money. I am proud of myself. I'm better than I've ever been at it. But I also know my strengths and weaknesses. So luckily, I have an assistant who has a better grasp of the finances. I'm also connected with financial advisors, and now I do better at looking myself. But keep spreadsheets, right? I don't care if it's an actual regular spreadsheet. I don't care if it's on QuickBooks. I don't care if your CRM has a dashboard. You need to be able to see these numbers. You need to be able to see them at the drop of a hat. You need to be able to reconcile your accounts every month. Do not wait to the end of the quarter to figure out where your money has gone and what's coming in. I love my CRM because it has a whole finance section where I can see reports. I can see reports over the years. I can see a report for that year. I can put in my goal for the year and see how close I am to that. I can see payments that are coming up. I can see overdue payments. It's really nice to kind of have a quick visual of what is going on, just to help me again make better plans, right? Strategic plans. If nothing else that you take from this, I want you to just remember to not do business on emotions, but do business with the data. And that's what all these numbers are. They're just data. They're pieces of a puzzle that help you be able to visually see what's going on in your business. And when you decide to ignore these pieces, right, you don't put the pieces down in the puzzle, you're going to have holes and you're not going to be able to clearly see what is going on. And so you may not feel it right away, but you will eventually, because you're gonna be like, dang, I've been working hard. I know there's money in my account and there ain't no money there because you done bought a whole bunch of software and hired a bunch of people and you didn't raise your prices and now the money is looking funny. So please make sure that you are doing yourself and your business a service by thinking about these numbers, and really planning based on the real data. This is a big part of the strategic plan. And it's not the most fun part for most of us in business, but it is a part that needs to be done. And it isn't always going to feel great. Like, get yourself a bottle of wine, get yourself a beer, meditate, pray, but get into it. Get into it. And if you don't know how to do these things, one, try to educate yourself as best you can, and then find somebody you trust to help you with this. I have somebody who helps me with my finances, because it isn't my strong suit, but I know enough to be dangerous so that I don't mess around and get got either. Right. So I can know, like, hold on, these numbers don't make sense here, something wrong, right? But I do have somebody I trust that can help me as well, which is nice. So definitely figure out if you can do it yourself, figure out if you need somebody to help you, but then also figure out what tools you can use. Because I wouldn't just take nobody's word for it. I would like it. I would definitely like to be able to track the data myself, especially when you make changes and adjustments to see if it's working or not. All right, so that's what we have tonight. And again, stay tuned for more information about our Wednesday webinars, along with our two intensives. We have one in November, one in December, where we are just really trying to make sure you guys have your strategic plans in order. I know what a difference they can make in a business. I was talking to one of my business colleagues the other day, and I was like, you don't even understand, right? If you have not strategically planned, it opens up a world of doors for you because it allows you to really clearly see where you are now. It allows you to clearly map where you want to go. And it literally creates a plan for you to follow so that you're not constantly being like, what am I supposed to be doing? What's happening in my business? I don't know. I'm just out here, your business is working you and you're not working it. So it's a different level of doing business with clarity, doing business with strategy, doing business with help, right? A lot of you want to hire help, but your help will have no clue how to help you because you don't have a clear plan mapped out that they can help you execute. So this is really helpful whether you're a solo entrepreneur or if you are someone who is already starting to build your team or have software on board. We can help you wherever you are, create this strong strategic plan. And for a lot of you, you may be able to just take it and go, but we also will be unveiling a new offer for those who do the intensive to help support them in 2026 to actually execute their strategic plan. So even if you think you may have one, I think it's worth your while to come and get the additional support because I'm pretty sure you probably have forgotten some things, and then you'll be able to get more insights and find more gaps so that you can end up with that clearer picture we were talking about to make sure your business moves to the level you want it to move to in 2026. But anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, guys. I hope this was helpful for you. We will be back here next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, don't forget tomorrow we have one of our free webinars. So definitely join us. It's gonna be a good time. And you do get the replay, but you must register to get it. And we will talk to you guys soon. Are you a service-based small business owner, juggling multiple roles and constantly racing against the clock? Make iRock Marketable Business Solution your trusted business partner in achieving business success. We understand the unique challenges you face in managing your business. That's why we offer a range of virtual assistant services tailored just for you. Our virtual assistants are skilled, dedicated, and ready to lighten your workload. Imagine having a partner who can handle your social media management, data entry, and travel plans. Picture a team that creates engaging video content for your audience. Think about never worrying about administrative tasks again. With iRock, you don't just save time, you gain peace of mind. Our virtual assistants are like an extension of your business, allowing you to focus on what you do best. Join the countless small business owners who have elevated their businesses with our VA services. Ready to take the next step towards business success? Discover how we can make your business journey smoother. Unlock the full potential of your business with iRock Marketable Business Solutions.